Shalom, shalom, it's the brother Kadash. I want to start off by giving our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rekak Kodash. This title is going to be called The Great Fight. The great fight to come. Which most of us know as like the war in heaven. But also, it's twofold because you have a great fight with us being in this truth. And then you have the great fight when our Lord comes back, Yahushai, and the angels come back to fight for us. But they both go together, and the link together is understanding the bigger picture, right? Now, walk with me because I'm going to break it down. Understanding the bigger picture is a part of the great fight that you have as a man when you're in the truth. Staying in the truth, keeping the law, statutes, commandments to the best of your ability. But even more importantly than that is keeping faith, right? Because we see a lot of men come in, we see men that's on fire, and then they start to burn out the more things go and the farther things go along, and it's almost like it is Tyrion, and it speaks about that in Habakkuk chapter 2, the end to come. So we all have these dreams, we all think about it, we all read the Bible, and we see the prophecies. You could actually see them, when you've been reading it for so long, studying, you could actually see these things, probably based off your imagination, or you actually getting visions from the Lord of the end to come. And this is what we're all waiting for. Every day we wake up, we're hasting the day, we're hasting the time that the grid goes down, we're hasting the time when those nuclear missiles are coming over here to destroy Mystery Babylon. We're hasting the time to see our Lord come back with great strength and glory with the holy angels, right, to go to war, because that's a part of the great fight. I remember today I seen a prank, and it was on World Star Hip Hop, and it was like a nuclear missile prank where they turned it on the TV, and then like the sirens start going off. They saying they get this talking about this is not a test, and then I start watching like 4 or 5 of them. I watched them just on YouTube, just seeing. It's called a nuclear missile prank, and just seeing how people reactions was when they heard pretty much it's all over, it's about to all go down. And that got me hyped, man, because I was thinking about it. I was like, man, one day it's gonna happen. One day it's gonna come. And I know we go out there on the highways and byways every week for years, right? And every week for years, in the snow and the heat and the rain, it don't matter what we doing. We always prophesying and teaching and saying, look, man, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. We don't give no fuck about their money. We know that's going to turn to the B system. We know in order to continue to be able to buy or sell, you're going to have to take the MOTB. We don't give a fuck about the jobs. We don't give a fuck about careers. We don't care about none of that, man. We want redemption and vengeance. Those are the two things that the Lord is coming back for. To redeem Israel, the elect, the remnant of Israel, and to get vengeance for his people. And that's what we want. That's what we seek after, right? But it's a great fight, staying in the truth and not getting burnt out, not giving in to that temptation, the worldly temptation, and giving up the truth. That's a great fight. But what helps you in that great fight is when you understand the bigger picture of the great fight that's coming when our Lord comes back. You want to be on that side. You want to be like, man, look, I finished my course. You want to be like, man, I stayed in this truth. So when you see the glory of our Lord and the angels coming back to fight with us, you could say, man, look, I did what was asked of me. And then you could gain your reward, your prophet's reward, the kingdom of heaven. When you get in the kingdom, you're going to say, look, man, it was worth it because I know what I went through. I went through the temptation. I went through even the hatred from our own people. Isn't that what the Lord went through? Didn't his own people that was so called in the truth, the elders and stuff, didn't they hate him? Didn't they talk shit about him? Didn't they spread rumors and falsehoods about him? Right? But he stayed with it, all the way to his end. And that's what we inspired to do, So I'm going to jump straight into it. Matthew chapter 10, verse 1. And he called into his 12 disciples. He gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal all matter of sickness and all matter of disease. They actually got spiritual power, right? All matters of sickness and matters of disease. It's not many men on the earth that could heal all manners of sickness and all manners of diseases, but they was able to do that. And that spiritual power is coming too. You got to see the bigger picture. What's the point of selling out? What's the point of giving up to return to what? Like me, it's like I'm a prisoner to this truth. It's like I'm a servant to this truth. Because what's the other option? There is no other option that even makes sense. You see? Verse 2 says, now the names of the 12 apostles are these. The first, Simon, who is called Peter, Andrew his brother, James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother. And then in Philip, Barmonas, Thomas, Matthew, James, Apollos, Lebinus, um, Simon the Canaanite, Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him, right? Now, I just want to go straight to the point. These 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the ways of the Gentiles and into the city of the Samaritans, enter ye not, but rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's a part of the bigger picture. That's the part of the greater fight, right? It's waking up the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Because, a lot of times, the spirit comes on you sometimes when you see injustices and you want to fight for your people. You want to put something together where your people can rise up and fight. But you got to understand that there's a time and a place for everything. And a lot of people talk shit about us, and I get it. And I be feeling what they saying too. They say, look, y'all just talk shit. Y'all just on the internet, y'all on the highways and byways, y'all ain't making no moves, y'all ain't really doing nothing for the people, right? That's the same thing that happened with Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam. Malcolm X actually wanted to do things, and the Nation of Islam wanted to keep it as a religion because they didn't want to, spark up the Edomite man to come up against them, right? But when you understand the big picture, you understand there's a time and a place. I get it, and I feel that too, right? But at the same time, I understand how the fuck you gonna fight when your people ain't together. You can't fight if your people ain't together. You're just gonna get slaughtered, right? You can't fight if you ain't got the Lord on your side. If you ain't good with the Lord, how you gonna fight? You got to get good with the Lord first. So that's why you see us out there prophesying, not putting together things, not fighting back. You see us just talking because we're prophesying, because you have to put the pieces together first. But our Lord, don't get it fucked up, don't get it mistaken. Our Lord is going to fight. He's coming back for vengeance. He's going to fight. He's going to kill. That's what our Lord is going to do. That's a Bible prophecy. You mean Isaiah 34. Just read Isaiah 34, Isaiah 60. There's many precepts to go along with it, right? And let's keep going on this. Verse 7 says, As ye go preaching, saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So what are we doing right now? This is the great fight that we have. This is our fight before the bigger fight happens, right? We're preaching, and what we supposed to be preaching, some of us are, that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, It says, heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give. You got this truth from the Lord, so you can't keep it to yourself. You got to give it out, right? It says, provide neither gold nor silver nor brass in your purses, nor scrip of journey, neither two coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves, for the workman is worthy of his meat. And this is the spirit we have to come in. A lot of us, we work our jobs, our careers, and then on the weekend we turn to Hebrews and we want to go out there and teach. But it's bigger than that, right? It says, and into whatsoever city and town ye enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till ye go thence. So we supposed to go from city to city and teach and bring those that's worthy with us. And then 1 turns to 10, 10 turns to 100, 100 turns to 1,000. You actually got a movement. But you don't really see many of us doing this today, right? Verse 12, it says, when ye come into a house, salute it. And if the house be worthy, which one of us is going into houses, spreading our message? We just go on the highways and byways. And that's why I say the people out there, like you got your Charleston Whites, you got your Hassan Campbells that say, man, the Hebrews, y'all ain't doing shit, right? I feel where they coming from too. But at the same time, like I say, it's always a time and place. The Lord's going to put it together when he wants to put it together, when we're actually going to unify. And that is prophecy that the northern kingdom, southern kingdom is going to unify, but it's also prophecy that the house of David is going to unify, right? It says, and if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it, but if it be not worthy, let your peace return unto you. It says, whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, when ye depart out that house or city, shake off the dust of your feet. Verily I say unto you, it should be more tolerable in the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city, right? But what happens right now? What do you see happening right now? So Christmas is coming up. We giving them the breakdowns of Christmas going back to Nimrod. We're giving you the breakdowns of Christmas going back to Baal. That it's wicked. That Santa is really just Satan. There was no Saint Nicholas that was a saint in the Bible. Only the Israelites could be saints pursuing the Psalms 50. We giving you these breakdowns that in Jeremiah chapter 10 it tells you not to cut the tree out with the axe out the woods and deck it with silver and gold. Pretty much telling you don't celebrate Christmas and the heathens' customs. That's a vain thing. We're giving you these breakdowns, but you don't want to listen to it. You don't want to follow it because you worry about your kids being happy. If you really worry about your kids being happy, you will bring them to the Lord, you know, and follow the Lord in his high holy days, right? But you're worried about really worshiping the white man that put you, the Edomite man that put you in slavery. But if they don't hear you, you shake the dust off your feet, man. You gave them the warning. The blood is off your hand. But the Lord says it's going to be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah than the day of the Lord's judgment, because it's going to be what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah times whatever number. Way, way bigger, right? Now, verse 16 says, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And that get back to my point with the Hassan Campbell, with the Charleston Whites. I know y'all, like I said, I get the feeling in me too. We all get the feeling in us, right? Even our Lord had that feeling in him, right? But he did what he was supposed to do, which was what? Stay, what he was commanded to do, which was what? Teach the truth, prophesy, spread the gospel, right? And that's what we were commanded to do. Even though we get that feeling, but like he said, there is a time and there is a place, right? And our Lord is actually going to be the one that's going to come back and fulfill that, what he said. But I'm going to get into that precept, but that's what gets you this picture that's on your screen, right? But let's keep going. You got to be a sheep in the midst of wolves right now. You know, you have to be wise as a serpent, right? Because there's things bigger than just you and your feelings, right? And yeah, we are harmless, right? But that's right now, because it's not the time. Like, you got to think about it. You need an army to fight. You need resources. We don't have any resources. We go to our enemies for everything that we need and everything that we have, right? And then our people aren't even unified together. 2/3 of our people are wicked and want to follow these wicked holidays and want to follow these false gods and stuff like that. And then you're gonna have 1/3 that is gonna wake up, right? But a kingdom that divided in two, how should it stand? You know, so we have no choice. We have no chance. But the Lord made it that way. Why? Because we are supposed to come back to our Lord. That's where our resources lay at. That's where our power lays at. That's where our strength lays at. I know everybody wants to be tough. Trust me. I know we all want to be tough. We all want to say, fuck it, I'm going to be the next Bumpy Johnson. I'm going to put together 100 niggas, 1,000 niggas, and we just going to go out there and just all ride out to the death. And then they just going to have to kill us, and then we going to spark a cause. But that's not how it works, man. When you don't have power over the narrative, you don't have power over the news, you don't have power of how that story is going to get spent or covered up. You don't have the power over those things. So we have to come back to our Lord, right? And we supposed to be harmless. So that's what you see with us, right? When we on the highways byways, we harmless. We don't do anything bad to anybody, and we don't break any laws. We follow them. And our only thing is to teach the truth. And when they make it a law that we can't teach the truth and we can't teach the Bible, then that's when the famine of the word comes in. Let's keep going. It says, but beware of men, for they deliver you up to councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. This is what they waiting for you to do. So you play. So really, you have to be smart. What did it say? It said, be wise as serpents. You have to be wise. You have to be smart. This is a part of that great fight. You got to be wise. You got to be smart. You got to understand that the enemy is waiting for you to do that. They've been had plans for years, hundreds of years, of what if the black man's come together, so-called black man, which are the Hebrew Israelites, come together, right? And then come up to try to fight against us. What are we going to do? How are we going to? They already have plans for that. You got to be wiser than that. You got to understand that that's not the fight. Our fight is not carnal. It's spiritual. And this is what people like Hassan Campbell, Charleston White has to understand. Now, I'm humbly saying this because I could get your rage. I could get your feeling, right? We all want to go out glorious like that. 1,000 of my brothers. We all want to go out like Judas Maccabees. We all want to go out like Judah Maccabees, right? And in an ambush, and they just got us ambushed, and they just come to kill all of us, and we just all go out fighting like the 300 Spartans or something. Like, we all want to go out glorious like that, well, the tough one, the real one of us. You got some undercover Scary. Let's just say that. But okay, but you still have to be wise. Where is that going to get us? That has happened in history in past many a times. It happened with Nat Turner. It happened with the Black Panthers. Yep. It happened with Judah Maccabees. It happened many and many times. That's not going to get us the victory because you're missing one key piece. And that one key piece is you missing a king, and that king is Yahweh Shai. Right now, let's keep going. Cause they waiting for you to do that so they could deliver you up to councils. They want you to be carnal and break laws so they could deliver you up to councils, so they could scorn you in their synagogues. They want to do that, but you gotta outsmart the devil, and you gotta understand that. Look, this is a spiritual fight. We're fighting for the souls of man, right? They're fighting for souls of man on the wicked side. They gonna get majority of the souls of man, 2/3 here in the mystery Babylon, but we're fighting for souls of man too, the elect, right? It says, but when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what shall ye speak, for it shall be given you the same hour what ye shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of the Father which speaketh in you, right? It says, but the brother should deliver up the brother to death. This is going to happen, man. It says the father, the child. Just think about a father delivering up their own child. It says, and the children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. And ye should be hated of all men for my name's sake. But he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. Now that's very, very important. Very, very, very important, right? Because it's not about just going out with a glorious death and being a martyr. It's not just about that, right? Even though that is a glorious thing, it's about enduring to the end. And how do you endure to the end? Not just by being a brute beast, not just being a war general. You endure to the end by being wise, man. It's not. I always, even myself when I was in the streets, right? I always this is how I got as far as I got, right? I always, first of all, my name is Kadash, holy, mean to be set aside. The Lord had his hand around me and set me aside, which I believe was because of this journey that I'm on now, right? But I always kept the same, right? It's not about who's getting it the most. It's about who gets it the longest. That's what I always grew up. My father installed that in me, right? Because we were on the streets and we do come from the slum. We come from the ghetto. We come from the bottom, right? So I was a little kid out there with the rest of my kids, with the rest of the little kids running around the neighborhood, trying to talk to my mom best friends and make them my girlfriends, even though they was way older. We was like that, man. But I always kept that motto when it came, because a lot of times growing up, we get into competition with each other. So in the streets, that's what you see. You see niggas get into competition with each other, and then that's sport wars, and then it's whoever has the biggest name, whoever getting the most money. But I said, look, it's not about who's getting the most money. It's about who lasts the longest. What is that called? Longevity. But how does that relate to the truth? It's not about who's the greatest teacher. It's not about who got the most eyes on them. It's not about who is liked most by who's liked the most by other men and stuff like that. It's not about that. It's about who endures to the end, because what's going to happen at the end, which translates perfect into this right here. If my computer will pop up. Because this is what's going to happen at the end, and this is also a part of that great fight. You want to endure to the end because you want to be around for this right here. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 13, KJV, of course. This is an Apocrypha, right? Verse 1. It says, and it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof, right? And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. Where else do we see that at? We see that in Revelations, right? Behold, he should come back with the clouds of heaven, and all kindreds on the earth shall well, right? In that verse 4. And whensoever the voice went out his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth felleth when it filleth the fire. And I could explain it, but it's going to explain itself. The angel's going to explain it, right? And after this, behold, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men, all of the number from four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out to see, a great army, right? The armies of the earth, right? It says that in Revelations 19. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. A great mountain, we know mountains don't fly, so if something's flying and it looks like a mountain triangle shape, it's what the world call a UFO, a chariot. It says, but I will have seen, and it speaks about this in Ezekiel chapter 1, a precept. And it says, but I will have seen the region or place where out the hill was graven, and I could not. And it also speaks about this in Revelations 12, starting at verse 7. It says, and after I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him was sore afraid, but yet did fight. That's the fight, the great fight. You want to endure to the end by being wise, by not just crashing out, right? You want to endure to the end so you could be a part of this. It says, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand nor held a sword nor any instrument of war. So just like our Lord Yahushua, he came, he didn't fight when he came as a man, because he had to fulfill prophecy, but there was a time and a place. And this man is Yahushua, right? And this is when he's going to come back to fight. This is when he's coming back not as the lamb, but he's coming back as the Lion of Judah, right? Now it says, but I only saw as he sent out his mouth as it been a blast of fire, and off his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which were prepared to fight, and burnt up every one, so that upon a sudden of a numerous multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Now, when I grew up, they said I talked a lot. They said I could have been a lawyer, right? But when I got of age, age is 12 actually, but let's just say when I got in my 20s, right? I said, man, look, I really don't want to do all that talking, man. I don't want to say this and say that. I don't want to be talking and all this, man. I just want to fight, man. I want to do stuff. I want to make moves. I want to, for my people. I don't want to fight against my people. I always had that installed, and I never wanted to fight in war against my people, even though growing up, most of my people, I will always have friends. When I was younger, they said he could be friends with anybody. He got a whole bunch of friends. Everybody love him. But then when I started growing up, all my friends, I would lose them because they all would become jealous over me or some type of way, right? Because the Lord had that hedge against on me, right? But they said, look, he talked a lot. He could be a lawyer, right? But I said, look, I don't want to be no lawyer. I want to fight for my people. I always had that feeling in me. Even since a little kid, I always just wanted to have my people and us fight a glorious fight, right? But the Lord brought me into this truth, and I said, you know what? I can talk, and that's what I need to do. I just need to talk my ass off. And if I'm going to talk my ass off, what do I want? I want the truth. I want to spread the truth, right? So I said, look, man, I got to get in this fight. And that brings me back to my topic, the great fight. I said, look, man, I got to get in this fight some way, somehow. And we've been in this fight, and we've been teaching. We've been staying on fire. We have not been lukewarm. We've been staying on fire, and we've been doing our little part to push the truth to our best of our abilities. And that's all you could do, right? Because when you do get in the truth, you realize and you understand that the glory is not yours, even though the Lord is going to get us fame in every land, and the Lord is going to get us glory, right? But the glory goes to Yahushua. It goes to our Lord, man, right? So let's keep going. It says, afterward I saw I the same man come down from the mountain. Who's that man? That's Yahushua. Right? It didn't say I seen Kadash. It didn't say I seen your favorite elder, your favorite. No, it says he seen. It didn't say, it ain't talking about King David either. It's talking about Yahushua. That's who this is all about, right? Because that's what his father gave him. And the precept to go along with that is Colossians 1. He got power, preeminence over everything, right? It says, and it's a great thing to have a king. Everybody wants to be the top guy, man. The top guy is a heavy, heavy, heavy job, man. And what's the fun of that, man? Look, let me tell you how I look at it. What's the fun? If we get to the kingdom and I'm the top Israelite in the kingdom, that's not, to me, that don't really seem fun, man. I want to be able to go to and this is theoretically talking, imaginative talking, right? I want to be able to have things to look up to. I want to be able to go to the apostle palace, and his palace is 10 times bigger than mine, so I could still be wild. When you got the biggest palace, nothing could wow you anymore. Nothing could excite you no more. You at the top. But when you good, but then you could go to like I got a big ass palace, right? I got 10 wives and that motherfucker beautiful. But then I could go to the apostle house and he got 100 wives, and it speaks about that in Matthew 19, 100-fold. It's going right along with the Bible, right? And I could go to his house and see him. He got 100 beautiful wives. I could see his mansion is 10 times bigger. That's excitement. That's something to get excited. It makes you like a kid. You like, oh, we finna go to the apostle's house, and he got and his shit. You think my stuff crazy? You don't always want to be the top guy, the top king. That's a heavy position to play that Yahweh Shai plays. And the sacrifice that he made for us, right? None of us could ever do that. None of us, you could think you the biggest and baddest and you could go through that. None of us could ever do that and go through that, man. Especially already knowing that it was going to happen before it happened with him being sacrificed. That's what makes it even worse. You know it's about to happen and you know how it's going to happen. So none of us could go through that. It's a great thing to have a king, man. And we have a king. And see, this is the problem with a lot of our people. We're not humble. We say out our mouth one thing, we got a king, but then we walk around acting like we're the king. No, we're not the king, man. We have a king. That's Yahweh Shai. You ain't bring the gospel over here to the Native Americans, the Northern Kingdom. You didn't do that, man. Yahweh Shai did that, You didn't make, like I said, you ain't make that great sacrifice. Yahweh Shai did that, man. You didn't lead the Israelites out of Egypt. Yahweh Shai did that, man. You didn't create the earth and everything in it. Yahweh Shai did that. That's our king. It is a great thing, and it don't make you lesser. And I guess the reason why I'm speaking on it is because I'm speaking on the pride that men have. It don't make you don't need to have any pride towards that, man, because it don't make you any lesser because you have a king over you. The Lord said we're going to be kings and priests too, but we have a king over us, right? We're going to get great power. That's why I read Matthew 10 that the Lord gave the disciples power, and he's going to give us power. Right? Because none of us could do this. When I'm reading the 2nd Esdras 13, none of us right now could do that. No man that you ever met, no man that you ever seen, no man that you ever looked up to could do what I'm reading in 2nd Esdras chapter 13. It's only one that could do it, right? It says, verse 13, and there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, some were sorry, and some of them were bound, and others some brought of them were that were offered. Then was I sick through great fear, and I awakened and sad, right? So you're going to have slaves in the kingdom too, right? It says, thou hast showed my servant these wonders from the beginning, and hast counted me worthy that thou should have received my prayer. It says, show me now yet the interpretation of this dream. So this is going to break down what he's saying. It says, for as I conceive in my understanding, woe unto them that shall be left in those days, and much more woe unto them that are not left behind. It says, for they that were not left were in heaviness, right? Because if you're not left, you'll be put to death. But I mean, and if you is left, but like it says, what's that? Acts? I forget it. It's Acts. I want to say 11. Probably verse 22, through much tribulation we must enter into the kingdom of heaven, right? It says, for they that were not left were in heaviness. Now understand I the things that are laid up in the latter days, which shall happen unto them and to those that are left behind, right? Therefore are they come into great perils and many necessities, like as the dream declare. It says, yet it is easier for him that is in danger to come into these things than to pass away as a cloud out of the world. It says, and not to see the things that happen in the last days. So if you don't see the things that happen in the last days, it's because you passed away as a cloud. If you do, it's still woe because you got to go through that tribulation. It says, he answered me, and that's a part of this great fight, and to me, and said, the interpretation of the vision shall I show thee, and will open unto thee the things that thou hast required. Whereas thou spoken of them that are left behind, this is the interpretation. It says, he that sure endure the peril in the time has kept himself. That's the great fight, enduring. The biggest fight is enduring. It says they and what are you enduring? What's enduring? Your faith. Your faith has to endure. It says they that are fallen into danger are such as have works in faith, see, towards the Almighty. So you gotta, but remember James chapter 2, faith without works is dead. So you have to have faith, you have to endure with your faith, but also your works, because faith without works is dead. So you got to continue going out on the highways and byways, continue spreading the gospel. That's your biggest work, is what? Having faith and spreading the gospel. It says, now this therefore, that they which be left behind are more blessed than they that be dead. Even though some men, like it said in Revelations 9 during the first world wars, right? It says they wish that they was dead, because all the things they're gonna have to go through, but you really blessed as long as you got life. It says, this is the meaning of the vision where thou sawest a man coming up from the midst of the sea. It says, the same as he who God the highest has kept a great season, which by his own self shall deliver his creature, and he shall order them that are left behind. It says, and whereas thou sawest that out of his mouth there came as a blast of wind, fire, and storm, and that he held neither sword nor any instrument of war, but that the rushing in of him destroyed the whole multitude that came to subdue him. This is the interpretation, right? And what was that? It says the rushing in of him destroyed him. Now, you seen that movie Independence Day, and there was a gigantic, they call it a mothership UFO, but it's just a chariot, right? But the chariot is so big that they even show some that is bigger than the whole earth. So if you get a so-called UFO bigger than the whole earth and it's coming into the earth atmosphere, what is going to come with? It's going to come with wind, fire, and storm, right? And what's that going to cause? Death. So just by that chariot, what you seen on your screen, just by it coming into the earth atmosphere, it's going to burn up the skies. And that's why you're going to have all the satellites are going to be burnt up and cast out the sky back down to the ground, just by this gigantic UFO coming into the earth atmosphere. And there's going to be a man that's going to be controlling it, that's going to be the king of it, that's the king of the world. It's Yahweh Shai. Right, verse 29 says, behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that upon the earth. Now this is talking about the elect. It says, and he should come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth, and one should undertake the fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one ram against another. Where do you see that at? That's Matthew chapter 24, right? And the time should be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen which I show thee before, and then shall my son be declared. His son's going to be declared, who thou sawest as a man ascending. Who's his son? Who's the son? Who's the father? Yahweh. Who's the son? Yahweh Shai, who the world English calls Jesus. That's the man that they saw ascending in Acts chapter 1, right? But remember in Acts chapter 1, I think around verse like 9 to 11, when he ascended up into a cloud, they said the two angels that were standing there in white apparel, they said what? They said, this same man should you see returning in the same manner that you see him leave. So he ascended up into a cloud, a chariot, right, which the world calls a UFO. That's the same way he's coming back. So when you get to Revelation 1, it says, behold, he cometh with the clouds. What the world calls UFOs, but they're called chariots, right? It says, but he shall stand upon top of Mount Zion, right, which we know is talking about the people of Israel, right? And Zion shall come and shall be showed to all men, being prepared and built like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands. Where do we see that at? Revelation 21. John said he seen New Jerusalem coming down. It says, and this son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations. They missiles, they sea hip, the mark of the beast, they fighter jets that's going to try to fight against them, all that, which they're satellites, which for the wicked life are falling into tempests, right? And that's what you're seeing, right? Verse 39, I'm gonna jump around. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude in him, those are the 10 tribes, right? And it's all the tribes, right? All together, right? So this leads me into my next point, right? Because we talking about that great fight. Everybody wants to fight right now, right? But we gonna break it down, right? So you just seen that the Lord is actually gonna come back and fight, right? And that's what we're waiting for. And we're playing our part by doing what? Like we said, we're preaching, we're teaching, we're prophesying, we're laying our brick, we're putting our piece in, right? And we're playing our part in the bigger scheme of everything for our king to come back and fight. But it's not just our king, right? You gonna like remember what I said? I said it's a time and a place for everything, right? He ain't just gonna do us like that, man. Look, he ain't just going we want to fight so bad, right? But we ain't gonna get to. But our king just gonna come back and he gonna take them all out. Nah, that's not how it's gonna go down. He gonna let us get us too. This is Revelations 2, right? Verse 25. But that which ye have already hold fast till I come. What does that sound like? That sound like endure to the end, right? Till he come. So Charleston White, Hassan Campbell, no, we're not just gonna fight and bust moves right now. Even though we want to, but we're not, right? Because we gotta wait till he comes, man. It says, and he that overcometh and keeping my works unto the end, what? Endure to the end, right? To him will I give power over the nations. What type of power? To do what? Verse 27, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and a vessel of powder shall they be broken in shivers, even as I received of my Father. He's going to let us get us too, man. He going to let us get our get back. He going to let us get our licks back too. He ain't just gonna take all the fun for himself and he just come back and destroy the wicked in the NATO and EU and just destroy the wicked of the earth and the Edomites and we can't do nothing. We can't get our licks in. He gonna let us. He gonna give us the power to do it the same way that he received of his Father. But we ain't got that power yet. That's what we're waiting for. That's what we're preaching for. That's what we're doing the works for and having faith for. So we can receive that power, man. It says, and I will give him the morning star. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit's saying to the churches, right? And to the Israelites, to the elect. That's what it's saying, man. We gonna get our turn, right? So you could laugh at us right now and say, look, y'all not really doing shit. Y'all just talking and shit. But we gonna get the last laugh and y'all gonna see like, damn, they was right. They really did get the power. And then when we get the power, it's on. When we get the power, it's jumping. We gonna be in the kingdom. We gonna have that everlasting paradise, and we gonna have power over the other nations. Then you ain't gonna be saying shit but wishing, and then the only thing you gonna be wishing is, I wish I was on the highways and byways, preaching and teaching the truth too, and then maybe I would have got the power. But all Israel gonna get the power. But like it says in Matthew chapter 5, some gonna be called great, some gonna be called least in the kingdom of heaven. With that, I'm gonna say salvation to the elect. Shalom.